Millions of dollars in additional hurricane relief could be coming our way.
And the state health department says the deadly flu season is not over.
These stories and more up next on Carolina News Today.
Carolina News Today is brought to you in part by the Wing Company of Pembroke, serving award-winning wings fresh, not frozen. Live entertainment weekly, 703 West 3rd Street in Pembroke. 10% discount for students and teachers every day. TheOriginalWingCo.com.
An arrest in Maryland is connected to a murder in Robeson County. Last week's investigation led to Jonathan Maurice Mack of Red Springs, who was found at his mother's house in Maryland. He is charged with first-degree murder in the shooting of Dwayne Vincent Fairley of Red Springs. Mack is being held without bond at Prince George County Detention Center. He is expected to be returned to Robeson County by next week.
North Carolina may be eligible for millions of dollars more in disaster recovery funding. As much as $125 million federal dollars could be freed up for communities still recovering from Hurricane Matthew. Housing needs and road repairs in 50 North Carolina counties would be addressed. The hurricane caused an estimated $4.9 billion in damage to the state. The extra funding would come from a U.S. Senate proposal announced Thursday.
Americans were projected to spend quite a bit of money to show their love this week for Valentine's Day. According to estimates by the National Retail Federation, more than half of Americans will have spent nearly $20 billion for cards, flowers, gifts, and clothing. Nearly $5 billion of that will be on jewelry. On average, consumers will spend about $144 per person, up $2 from last year. Pets are in on it too. Pet owners spend about $5.50 on average to treat their animal companions this time of year.
We talked to students on campus earlier in the week about their Valentine's plans, and most seemed a little unprepared for the occasion.
My plans for Valentine's Day is probably to wake up early, go to football workouts, run in the morning, and then later that day go through classes, and then go back to workouts. So nothing special, really.
I don't really have any plans for Valentine's Day. I have to work, so hopefully somebody surprises me with some chocolates.
So my plans for Valentine's Day this year is probably breaking up with 4 girls instead of 1. My very first Valentine's, I broke up with 1 chick. It was pretty significant. It was a nice, sunny, breezy day, and I was looking my freshest, but it was like, I don't want to do this no more, so I had to do it that morning on the phone. So this year, I'm gonna do it in person, keep it 100.
My plans on Valentine's Day probably would just be to stay on campus. I might be on duty that day because I'm an RA in Pine, but yeah, I might even go out to eat, so it just really depends, but nothing special.
For Valentine's Day, my plans are I'm chilling right now unless, God bless me with a good-looking girl I could take out. So that's what I'm doing.
English faculty organized an open mic night in the UC Lounge to observe Valentine's Day. Anyone could get up and recite a poem or other oral performance. The event was free and open to the public, although speakers signed up in advance. Dr. Michael Bernstein explained the purpose of the event.
For love of English, for love of writing, and for the love of students. We are part of the English faculty, the English Foreign Language Theater faculty, and we're trying to do more events to help students out, trying to get them more stuff to do on campus. So, for the love of doing things.
Just the ability to voice my opinion and speak in poetry and just free myself, really, and just be original.
Well, I'm a big fan of kind of stepping outside of the classroom and showing students that we are human in the end, much like Professor Love is being very human, right? So it's a great time to show that we have feelings, we have thoughts too, whether it be love or hate. So coming together to do that is super exciting.
The Department of Music celebrated Mardi Gras a little early over the weekend. They held a gala and dance in the UC Annex to raise money to offer summer music camps. Tickets went for $25 and they raised just over $3,000. Guests were treated to a dance lesson, and the musical entertainment was provided by students and faculty, including the UNCP Jazz Band. The music camps for area youth will be held in July, and they are a first for the campus.
Last week, we told you about a proposed coffee shop for the campus library. Now, the Dean of Library Services tells us they have more renovation plans for the building. With more students attending UNCP, there has been a decreased amount of space for studying in the library. Swanson says they'll remove unnecessary walls and rooms in order to create more of those high-demand spaces. Swanson also plans to create a better entrance, the coffee shop we told you about, a new reference desk, and a soundproof glass room. Improvements can be finished by the year 2019. Swanson encourages all students to make good use of the library.
understand and remember that the library, we really want to make it not only a friendly place to come, but help students remember this is really this is the one place in terms of all their academic studies that pulls everything together. Shelby Foote, who was a Civil War historian and novelist, he said once that a university is a group of buildings surrounding a library. And I know what he meant by that in terms of the library being kind of the central point of the campus. And I hope students understand that.
Governor Roy Cooper urges all North Carolina residents to take extra precautions to avoid catching or spreading the flu. The flu has claimed the lives of at least 140 North Carolina residents since October. The flu is still actively spreading throughout the state. There are a few simple actions people can take to fight the flu. Those steps include getting your flu shot, washing your hands, covering your mouth when you cough and sneeze, and to stay home if you get the flu. A soldier stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina is under arrest, accused of raping a teenager in Texas 5 years ago. CNN News Source reports.
Nearly 5 years to the date their cruiser lights lit the Cypress sky. Investigators couldn't wait to share news of an arrest.
This is one of the cases that really stuck with them. And looking at the pictures and going through the report, you know, it's one of those cases where, you know, I knew we had to find some type of resolve. I mean, it was that bad. So it feels amazing.
Deputies say a 16-year-old was brutally attacked, raped, and left for dead in the woods next to Cypress Woods High School. Today, investigators believe they know who was behind it.
And here we are today to put this monster behind bars where he belongs.
His name is Levi Goss. He was arrested in North Carolina. He's a member of the military. Goss enlisted 2 years ago, 3 years after the assault. Deputies say DNA collected from the victim matched Goss. News has sent a sigh of relief through the Cypress community.
Considering how horrible it was, I'm glad they kept after and pursued them, and somebody was arrested.
That's horrible. That's horrible crime. And obviously, you know, I mean, yeah, I'm shocked, you know, as a parent, you know, I don't want, you know, those guys, criminal like that, you know, running around.
Goss faces aggravated kidnapping and aggravated sexual assault of a child charges. It's not his only run-in with the law. Deputies say the military is investigating him for sexual assault and drug possession charges from late last year. He was in court yesterday, but despite the other charges in a different state, deputies say he will be brought back to Harris County.
It's horrific. That's what comes to mind. Absolutely horrific that somebody would do that to a young girl like that.
A 19-year-old Minneapolis woman stands accused of trying to join a terror group. She is also accused of starting a fire on a college campus in a failed attack. A judge Monday denied requests that she be released to her family under house arrest. Here's more.
Federal court documents claim Hassan tried to leave the country twice to join a foreign terror group. Prosecutors also say she tried to recruit others to become terrorists as well. FBI agents interviewed Hassan back in September about whether she wrote and delivered letters to 2 St. Kate students. Letters prosecutors say encouraged those students to join al-Qaeda, Taliban, or al-Shabaab. Hassan is accused of lying to the FBI about the letters. She is also accused of first-degree arson. Court documents say Hassan set fires on the campus of St. Kate's in St. Paul. She told police she did it because she'd been reading about the U.S. military destroying schools in Iraq and Afghanistan, and she felt that she should do exactly the same thing. She also told investigators those fires were acts of jihad and that she hoped her actions would kill innocent people. She went on to say the community was lucky she didn't know how to make a bomb. Federal prosecutors told Magistrate Judge Stephen Rao that Nuza Hassan is a danger to the community as well as a flight risk. They asked him to deny her bail and keep her behind bars until a trial date, and the judge complied.
The University of New Mexico's head football coach says he is appealing his suspension. The school suspended him after an investigation revealed he may have covered up an alleged sexual assault. Here's the story from Albuquerque.
Shouting racial slurs, being physically abusive to an injured athlete, and not reporting rape allegations against a football player have led to head UNM football coach Bob Davie to be suspended for 30 days. But that suspension hasn't started yet. A spokesperson for the university says interim president Chowki Abdallah and athletic director Eddie Nunez are working together on the timing and details of the suspension. After those disturbing allegations, I asked the Department of Athletics why it decided to suspend Coach Davey and not fire him. It couldn't answer. So I went to interim president Abdallah's office to find out.
Well, I'm sorry, he's not here this afternoon.
Okay, is he on campus today or is he out?
I'm not going to give any of that information out. I can't.
Coach Davey did issue a written statement saying he is appealing the suspension. He denied an accusation from an anonymous witness who told investigators the coach held a team meeting where he told players to get some dirt on a woman who said she had been raped by a football player. In the statement, Coach Davey says, "So there was no misunderstanding. Never did I make that or any similar comment." We've tried to track down the athletic director today, too, about what's next for Coach Davey amid such allegations. A university spokesperson said he wasn't able to talk to us today. He said in Thursday's press conference,
"At this point, I can't answer that because I have not sat down with our administration."
Braves athletics continues to rack up Peach Belt recognition.
And one team brings home a conference title.
Sports are up next with Dolphus Pearson III.
Hearts for the Arts helps make arts experiences possible for everyone, whether providing tickets for less advantaged patrons, making programs accessible for guests with disabilities, or providing programming for schools through our On Stage for Youth series. Hearts for the Arts guarantees that more people can enjoy GPAC programs. For more than 40 years, Givens Performing Arts Center on the campus of the University of North Carolina at Pembroke has provided culturally rich and diverse entertainment to the university and the Southeast region, building on its mission, changing lives through education. Studies show that the arts can play a significant role in the development of children and the enrichment of the community. You can make a difference today by giving to GPAC's Hearts for the Arts Fund. Enhance the lives of others and enrich lives with art. Give online by visiting uncp.edu/give and choose Givens Performing Arts Center in the donation form. That's uncp.edu/give.
I came to the University of North Carolina at Pembroke for big school opportunities at a place that feels like home.
I love our rich diversity and strong traditions.
And because UNCP is an NC Promise school, I'll graduate with a world-class education without a mountain of debt.
Learn more and apply today at uncp.edu or call 910-521-6262. Our promise, your opportunity. uncp.edu.
I have big plans for my future, and I can get there from here.
The wrestling team had decisive matchups to wrap up the regular conference season Monday. The Braves collected 20 takedowns and 2 pins en route to capturing the first 8 individual events of the night. The Braves continued to power through the Tornadoes all night, and get this, they locked up their first Eastern College Athletic Conference title. Nick Daggett led the night with a 19-6 major decision in the 125-pound matchup. Ferris Tia sealed the win with the third period pin at 184 pounds. This was the first conference title for the team since the 1980s when they were in the Carolinas Conference. The Braves will now focus their attention on the postseason. They head to Ohio for regionals at the end of the month. Conference membership comes and goes, but so does support for some teams. In recent years, Pembroke has lost men's golf, men's soccer, and women's tennis. What's an athlete to do when a program is eliminated upon graduation? Former tennis player Morgan Sheehan tells us that the school let her keep her scholarship when the team was cut, but she just couldn't bring herself to sit on the sidelines for the remainder of her studies. She found new ways to shine for the black and gold.
As an AD or coach, you're not supposed to have favorites, but Morgan is one of my favorites, just with the way she carries herself and everything that we try to instill in our student athletes about perseverance and controlling what you can control and being accountable. She's really embodied all that.
Morgan Sheehan has persevered and been an outstanding student athlete through the transition of going from her first love of tennis to throwing the javelin for track and field. During her first year, she was actually a cross-country runner. She found a whole new family and then, found out that she would be throwing the javelin and outdoor track and field. And so I think she's been very passionate and found that she can succeed in other sports as well, and that she is very talented and has used her talents elsewhere.
After tennis was cut, I really thought that I could come back to Pembroke my junior year and just be a normal student and not do anything athletically, still go to athletic events but not actually be an athlete. That lasted all of about a week. I was very bored, and I was so used to being on a routine that I was finding myself doing homework at 3 in the afternoon, and I was supposed to be at practice. So obviously in tennis, we don't do as much long distance running as you would in cross country. So the transition athletically was a little challenging. For track, it wasn't as challenging because throwing the javelin is a little similar to serving in tennis, I guess. And I had that kind of movement, but I think it was more of a mental aspect. I'd never thrown a javelin. I'd never run 5 miles just because I wanted to. But I think overall it's been a really good experience for me. I was nervous about it because I didn't know if I would be good at the sport, and I didn't want to fail. I'm scared to fail at anything, so I was a little bit nervous about it, but overall it was a really good experience.
I'd say she was confident about the transition just because she believed in herself, and she knew, even though she was trying something new, that she could potentially be successful, and she has been.
I think I've grown more as a leader than anything else. I've been able to hold leadership positions at Pembroke that I did when I was in high school, but to a higher standard now that I'm in college. And I think I've been able to see the kind of leader I am and how to lead people better. I think overall, though, coming to Pembroke, I've grown tremendously just as a person. I can't really pinpoint one thing that I've grown the most on, but it's been a good growth experience.
Morgan got her undergraduate degree in mass communications and is now pursuing her master's degree in sports administration. The softball team had a 2-game series last week against Catawba. In the first game, the Braves lost in the 7th inning after being up 3-0. After just having 3 singles through the first 6 innings, Catawba finished with 2 doubles, a triple, and a home run in the 7th inning to come back and win against UNCP. In the second game against Catawba, the Braves had their first shutout of the season with an 8-0 victory, drawing the mercy rule. Freshman Breezy Yelton helped pitch the team to victory. Yelton gave away just 4 hits while also striking out 5 and walking 2. The team will have 7 days off before returning to action February 17th. Baseball continued their dominant start to the season over the weekend against the Crimson Hawks of Indiana University. Offense was the bread and butter for UNCP to start the season, and they kept that offense going. The team scored double digits in 2 of the 3 wins. Catcher Trevor Clemens broke out and led the offensive charge with 5 RBI performance in Game 3. He was bolstered by a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 6th. On the pitching side of things, Anthony Burke continued to show why he's the ace of this team. He brought up a record of 2-0 after going 6 innings while giving up only 3 runs in the Game 1 victory. The men's basketball team hosted past players over the weekend when they played Young Harris on Saturday and North Georgia on Sunday. On Saturday, Nigel Grant scored a game-high 16 points, while Lumberton native David Strother added 13 points for the Braves. Strother also had 4 free throws in the final 39 seconds to secure the win against Young Harris. The team closed out the game with a 13-3 run, giving Ben Miller his record-breaking 170th victory as the head coach of the Braves. In the second game, they blew past North Georgia with a score of 101-68. Akia Pruitt recorded a game-high 22 points while also adding 8 rebounds, 4 blocks, and a pair of assists. This was the 20th win for the season on the Braves, while also being 11-1 at home. A career best against Augusta with 31 points and 16 points against Young Harris with 9 rebounds and multiple blocks earned Nigel Grant PBC Player of the Week. He also registered 19 points in Sunday's win against North Georgia. The Bronx native averaged 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 1 block per game last week, helping the Braves bring in 3 wins. Grant has also been a starter for the Braves for 2 years and played in 56 games for the Black and Gold. This was the first Player of the Week honors for the team since 2014. The Lady Braves were also in action last weekend. They hosted 2 home matchups against Young Harris and number 23 ranked North Georgia. Coming off a 3-game losing streak, the Black and Gold got back in the win column against Young Harris, winning 69-50. Nala Allen and Ebony Stevens both led the team in scoring with 12 points apiece. The second game wasn't so favorable for the Lady Braves. They fell to the Nighthawks of North Georgia 57-70. That's it for me. I hope everyone had a happy Valentine's Day. Back to the studio.
Thanks, DP. And that's it for us. I'm Brian Reed.
And I'm Alexis Clinton. We'll see you next week.